A rural carpenter buys a microscope with money intended for the family's needs. Thanks to this purchase, a new world opens up for Andrew. He is amazed to discover that invisible microbes are everywhere, and he begins to ponder how to help humanity deal with them. But within a week, his deception is uncovered. His wife returns the microscope to the pawn shop, and the carpenter, in despair, spends $12 on alcohol. He had to make a decision. He made it. One day, he came home, not himself, looking pale. Without looking at his wife, he said, I lost the money." As he said this, his crooked nose, bent with a bump, turned from yellow to red. $120. His wife's jaw dropped, and her face took on a pleading expression. Maybe it's a joke? No, this crooked-nosed man never jokes. He doesn't know how. She foolishly asked, "Where?" He involuntarily snorted, "Well, if I knew I'd go and—" "Oh no," she roared. "You won't be smirking for long now." And she ran for the frying pan. 9 months, you scoundrel. He grabbed a pillow from the bed to fend off her blows. The ancients only flaunted their shining shields. A pillow. They spun around the room. The pillow you're dirtying. You'll have to wash it yourself." I'll wash it, you crooked nose, and 2 of your ribs will be mine. Mine. Enough already, listen. Short and sweet, crooked little noses. Enough, you pest. I'll call in sick tomorrow. It'll be worse for you. Call in. It'll be worse for you. Let it be. Ouch. Take that. Will you stop? No, let me enjoy this. Let me vent my soul, you crooked-nosed boar. Woodpecker. At this point, she aimed well and painfully hit him on the head. She was a little scared herself. He dropped the pillow, grabbed his head, groaned. She looked at him intently. Was he pretending, or was it really painful? She decided it was real. She put down the frying pan, sat on a stool, and began to wail. And with lamentations. "Oh, why is my fate so cruel? I saved and saved. Oh, I didn't eat an extra piece of white bread. Oh, I didn't buy sweet treats for my children. I saved everything. I saved, you crooked-nosed boar. Oh, I set aside every penny and rejoiced. They'd have warm and fancy coats for winter, and they'd go to school not in rags and not cold." "Since when do they go in rags?" He couldn't resist. "Shut up, you boar, shut up. You squandered this money from your own children. You squandered it and didn't choke. If only you'd choked on it, it'd be a little easier for us." "Thanks for the kind words," he muttered venomously. You bore. Where were you? Maybe you'll remember? Maybe you left it at work somewhere? Maybe you put it under the workbench and forgot. At work. I went to the bank from work. At work. Well, maybe you dropped by someone's place, you bore? I didn't go anywhere. Maybe you drank beer at the bar with alcoholics. Remember, maybe you dropped it on the floor. Go, they might still give it back. I didn't go to any bar. Then where could you have lost it, you bore? How should I know? I was waiting for you. We'd have gone with the kids to try on coats now. I'd already picked out which ones, and now they'll be gone. Oh, you bore, you bore. Enough already. You keep on. Bore, bore. Who are you then? What can we do now? You'll work double shifts, you bore. You'll be skinny. You'll have a little drink after the bath now, you will. Some cold water from the well. I don't need any drink. I can do without it. You'll walk to work now. You'll ride the bus. He was surprised. Work double shifts and walk? Clever. Walk. Walk there and back, you bore. And where it's further, you'll even run. To not be late. You'll pay for this. You'll remember this money more than once. Double or not, but I'll manage a month and a half. It's okay, and he said seriously, rubbing the sore spot. I've already arranged with the foreman. He didn't realize at first that he'd given himself away, and when she looked at him in confusion, he corrected himself. When I noticed the money was gone, I went back to work and arranged it. Well, give me the savings book, she demanded. She looked at it, sighed, and once again, bitterly said, "You bore." For about a week, Andrew Johnson, a carpenter at a small workshop at Grain Co., 9 miles from town, felt terrible. His wife was still angry. He kept getting called a bore. He was angry too, but didn't dare to call her names out loud. But days went by. His wife calmed down. Andrew waited. Finally, he decided that it was time. And so late in the evening, he really was working 1.5 shifts. He came home holding a box, and in the box, apparently, was something heavy. Andrew was quietly beaming. He often brought some work home, sometimes small wooden items, little boxes wrapped in paper. No one was surprised that he came with something, but Andrew was quietly beaming. He stood at the doorway, waiting for someone to pay attention to him. They paid attention. "Why are you shining like a bare backside in the moonlight?" "Well, they gave me this for outstanding work." Andrew went to the table, slowly unpacked the box, and finally opened it, and placed on the table a microscope. A microscope. What do you need it for? Here Andrew Johnson fussed, but he didn't fuss guiltily, as he usually did, but somehow condescendingly. "We'll look at the moon!" And he burst out laughing. His 5th grade son laughed too. The moon through a microscope. "What are you laughing at?" the mother said, offended. Father and son burst out laughing. Mother gave Andrew a stern look. He calmed down. "Do you know that microbes surround you at every step? You just scooped a cup of water, right?" Andrew scooped a cup of water. "You think you're drinking water?" "Get lost." "No, answer me." "I'm drinking water." Andrew looked at his son and again involuntarily laughed. "She's drinking water. Isn't she silly?" "Bore. I'll get the frying pan right now." Andrew became serious again. "You're drinking microbes, dear. Microbes. With the water. A couple of million in one gulp, and there you go, as a snack." Father and son couldn't hold back their laughter again. Zoe, his wife, went to the kitchen for the frying pan. "Look here," Andrew shouted. He ran with the cup to the microscope, spent a long time setting up the instrument, dropped a drop of water onto the slide, put his eye to the tube, and probably for 2 minutes, barely breathing, he looked. His son stood behind him, desperately wanting to look too. "Dad." "There they are, the little devils," Andrew Johnson whispered. With some eerie delight, he whispered, "They're roaming around." "Come on, Dad." Father kicked his leg back. Back and forth, back and forth. "Ah, the little devils." "Dad." "Let the child look," the mother sternly ordered, clearly interested too. Andrew reluctantly tore himself away from the tube, gave his son the seat, and greedily and jealously stared at the back of his head, impatiently asked, "Well?" The son was silent. "Well?" "There they are," the boy shouted, "little white ones." Father pulled his son away from the microscope, gave the place to his mother. "Look, she's drinking water." Mother looked for a long time, with one eye, then the other. "I don't see anyone here." Andrew got all worked up, became surprisingly bold. "Blind as a bat." She can find any penny in my pocket, but can't see microbes here. They're almost jumping into your eyes, silly. Little white ones. Mother, because she didn't see any little white ones, and father and son didn't get angry. Well, maybe, she might have said, unsure, could have fibbed. Andrew decisively pushed his wife away from the microscope and glued himself to the tube, and again his voice dropped to a whisper. Good grief, what are they doing? What are they doing? Little cloudy ones, the mother asked her son from behind, like little specks of fat in soup. Is that them? Quiet, Andrew barked, not taking his eyes off the microscope. Specks of fat. You're the speck of fat, a whole ham. Strangely, Andrew Johnson was becoming a loud master of the house. The eldest son, the 5th grader, laughed. Mother gave him a slap on the back of the head. Then she brought the younger ones to the microscope. Come on, you, doctor of sour cabbage soup. Let the kids look, hogging it. Father gave up his place at the microscope and excitedly paced the room. He was thinking about something. When they had dinner, Andrew kept thinking about something, glanced at the microscope, and shook his head. He scooped up a spoonful of soup, showed his son. How many are here? Approximately. The son furrowed his brow. About 500,000. Andrew Johnson squinted at the spoon. At least. And we gulp. He swallowed the soup and slapped his chest. And gone. Now our own body will start dealing with them. It handles them. I bet you asked for it yourself? His wife looked at the microscope with slight displeasure. They could have given a vacuum cleaner, and here we have nothing to vacuum with. No, when God created woman, he must have messed something up. The creator got carried away. Got carried away. Like any artist, though. And after all, he wasn't making a thinker. At night, Andrew got up twice, turned on the light, looked into the microscope and whispered, "Those little devils. What they're up to. What they're up to. And they don't sleep." "Don't lose your mind," said his wife. "You need very little. You'll snap." "Soon I'll start making discoveries," said Andrew, climbing back into the warmth with his wife. "Have you ever slept with a scientist?" "Oh, stop it." "You will." And Andrew Johnson gently patted his wife on the soft shoulder. "You will, dear, sleep with a scientist." For about a week, Andrew Johnson lived as if in a dream. He came home from work, carefully washed up, quickly had dinner, kept glancing at the microscope. "The thing is," he told, "that a person is supposed to live 150 years. The question is, why does he stretch his legs at 60, at best 70? Microbes. They, the scoundrels, shorten a person's life. They get into the body, and as soon as it weakens a little, they take over." Together with his son, they sat at the microscope for hours, researching. They examined drops of water from the well, from the drinking bucket. When it rained, they examined a raindrop. The father also sent his son to get a sample of water from a puddle. And there those little white ones were teeming. Good grief, what they're doing. So how do we fight them? Andrew's hands dropped. A person steps in a puddle, comes home, tracks it in. Then a child walks barefoot and please catches it. And what kind of body does a child have? That's why you should always wipe your feet, the son noted. And you don't. That's not the point. We need to learn to destroy them right in the puddle. Otherwise, I'll wipe. I know now. But that fool Johnny over there. Try telling him. He stomped around and he'll keep doing it. They also examined a drop of sweat, for which the son ran outside until exhaustion. Then the father scraped some moisture off his forehead with a spoon. They got a drop, leaned over the microscope. There they are. Andrew struck his knee with his fist in frustration. Try living 150 years, even in the skin they're there. Let's try blood, the son suggested. The father pricked his finger with a needle, squeezed out a bright red drop of blood, shook it onto the slide, leaned over the tube and groaned. "It's over, son. The blood's infected." Andrew Johnson straightened up, looked around in surprise. "Well, and they know the parasites know better than me and keep quiet." "Who?" The son didn't understand. "The scientists. Their microscopes are better. They see everything and keep quiet. Don't want to upset people. Why not tell us? Maybe together we'd figure out how to destroy them. No, they conspired and are silent. There'll be unrest, they say." Andrew Johnson sat on a stool, lit a cigarette. People die from such tiny creatures. Andrew looked defeated. The son was looking into the microscope. They're chasing each other. These are a bit different. Round ones. They're all round, long. They're all the same. Don't tell your mother yet that we saw them in my blood. Let's look at mine. The father looked intently at his son, curiosity and fear reflected in the eyes of Johnson Sr., his hands worn over many years, large, smelling of resin, trembled slightly on his knees. No need, maybe at least in the little ones. "Ah, you!" Andrew stood up, angrily kicked the stool. They learned to get rid of lice, bedbugs, all sorts of larvae, but these, smaller than the tiniest nit, and can't do anything about them. Where's your scientific degree? You can see a louse, but these, how do you? Father thought for a long time. Turpentine? It won't work. Whiskey's probably stronger. I drink, and look what's happening in the blood. Does whiskey get into the blood? Where else? Why else does a person get drunk? Once, Andrew brought home a long, thin needle from work, washed up, winked at his son, and they went into the room. Let's try. I sharpened a wire. Maybe we can spear a couple. The tip of the wire was very thin, like a hair. Andrew spent a long time poking this tip into the drop of water. He puffed, even broke a sweat. They scatter, the devils. No, too thick, can't spear them. Need thinner, but can't make it thinner. All right, let's have dinner now, and then try them with electricity. I brought a battery. We'll connect 2 wires and zap them. Let's see how they like that. And it was during dinner that an untimely visitor arrived, Sam Smith, who worked with Andrew at Grain Co. Since it was Saturday, Sam was a bit tipsy, and that's probably why he wandered over to Andrew's, just because. Lately, Andrew had no time for drinking, and he was surprised to find that he was disgusted by drunks. They behaved so foolishly and said all sorts of nonsense. "Sit with us," Andrew invited without any enthusiasm. "Why? We'll be over here. What's it to us? We'll stay in the corner." Why is he pretending to be a poor orphan all of a sudden? "As you wish. Let me look at the microbes." Andrew became alarmed. "What microbes? Go sleep it off, Sam. I don't have any microbes." "What are you hiding? Weapons or something? It's scientific stuff." My boy buzzed all about it. Uncle Andrew wants to destroy all the microbes. Andrew. Sam struck his chest with his fist, gave Andrew a fierce look. "We'll cast a golden monument to you. You'll be famous worldwide, and I work next to you, Andy." Zoe Johnson, although she also couldn't stand drunks, nevertheless was pleased that people in the town were talking about her husband, a scientist. More out of habit to grumble when the opportunity arose than from genuine feeling, she remarked, They couldn't have awarded something else? A microscope? The man will go crazy now. Doesn't sleep at night. They could have given a vacuum cleaner or something. And here we have nothing to vacuum with. Can't manage to buy one. Awarded what? Sam didn't understand. Andrew Johnson went cold. Well, the prize they gave, the microscope. Andrew wanted somehow, with his eyes, to make Sam understand that. But no chance. Sam stared at Zoe like a sheep. What prize? Well, they gave you a prize. To whom? Zoe looked at her husband, at Sam. They gave you a prize. Wait, they'll give us a prize. They'll chase us down and give it again, a prize. And they gave Andrew a microscope. For outstanding work. Zoe Johnson's voice fell ominously. She understood everything. They'll give us, the drunken Sam raged in the corner. Last month, I completed 130% of my quotas, right? Andrew won't let me lie. Everything collapsed in an instant and rushed terribly downward into the abyss. Andrew stood up, took Sam by the scruff, and led him out of the house. In the yard, he gave him a smack on the back of the head, then asked, "Do you have $3 until payday?" "I do." "Why did you hit me?" "Let's go to the store. You swamp creature. Why the heck are you wandering around drunk?" "Ah, you blockhead." That night, Andrew Johnson slept over at Sam's. They drank themselves silly, spent their money, borrowed some more from someone until payday. Only the next day, by lunchtime, Andrew showed up at home. His wife wasn't there. "Where is she?" he asked his son. "Went to town to that, what's it called? The pawn shop." Andrew sat at the table, rested his head on his hands, sat like that for a long time. "Did she scold?" "No, just a little." "How much did you drink away?" $12. "Ah, Peter. Son." Andrew Johnson, without lifting his head, grimaced bitterly, gnashed his teeth. "But is that the point? You can't understand in your young age. You can't understand." "I understand. She will sell it." "She'll sell it. Yes, the coats are needed." "Well, all right. The coats. All right. It's okay. Need to. Winter's coming soon. Study hard, Peter." Andrew raised his voice, on all fours. "But crawl into science. It's a great thing. You don't have any change in your piggy bank, do you?" "No," said Peter. Maybe he lied. "Well, all right," Andrew agreed. "Study hard and never drink." "And they don't drink, scientists. Why would they? They have enough to do without that." Andrew sat a little longer, nodded his head sadly, and went to the bedroom to sleep.